Have you ever started reading like a book or an article or something like that, and the writing was so good that you were really hyper-focused, and before you knew it, you got to the end of the chapter or even the book? Also, I just spotted Caesar going on a walk with Lauren. We're going to catch up with him. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hello.
Hello.
Sometimes when you're really hyper-focused on something, the finish line appears out of nowhere. I actually learned this firsthand when relearning to walk again with prosthetic legs. Story after we roll the intro. So back when I was learning to walk with prosthetic legs, I needed to start doing some endurance walking, and this was typically walking from anywhere from 100 meters to about 800 meters. And I remember this one day we did from the hospital down to the golf course, which would have been a good 700 or 800 meters. As I was walking with the help of a wardsman under my arm, I kept looking down the path to the end where the golf course was, and it just looked impossible. There was so much in front of me and I didn't know how I was going to traverse this massive length of road. But the advantage to walking with prosthetics is that you actually have to watch the road in front of you. You can't feel the terrain or the topography with your feet. And if you don't watch it, you'll be feeling it with your face. So I was constantly forced to look about 5 or 10 meters in front of myself at all times. What I realized was that paying attention to that which was right in front of me actually made the destination take care of itself. So being forced to pay close attention to what was right in front of me actually taught me how to focus on the task at hand and actually complete that task to the best of my ability and learn from it. I know there's always a lot of chatter about goal setting, but it's something that I tend to largely ignore because goals often tend to be too broad or big picture, and it can take my mind off the small tasks in between. If you had a goal of trying to lose weight, there might be plenty of habits that you need to adopt or change. But if you focus on overcoming each moment that you have a craving or don't feel like doing the exercise you need to, each instance will be more manageable. And even if you fail after a few weeks, you will still have made inroads to developing better habits in the future. You see, goalposts tend to be flexible, whether they're set by third parties and objectives change, or whether you decide to change those goals yourself. It can be disheartening not to have achieved them, and your focus remains on that which you've fallen short of, rather than specific accomplishments, skills you've acquired, or tasks you've achieved along the way. I remember once building a framework for a business that never got off the ground, but I'd invested a lot of sweat equity into this thing, which included things like wireframes, CSS coding, marketing plans, liaising with developers and potential clients. All of these tasks were completely new to me. This business relied heavily on physical retail being open, and so COVID kind of put the kibosh on that in a massive way. But this was something nobody anticipated and nobody was ready for. So the project had to be dumped. But I was fine with it because I was able to treat it like a free real-world course in all of those skills I previously didn't have. My post-rationalization was definitely a utilization of the alchemist technique. Click here if you want to know more about that. But I was able to do so because I took care to be thorough with all the small tasks along the way that I didn't regard as just a means to an end. Focusing on what's in front of you also has the added benefit of helping you to just stay in the moment and appreciate it for what it is. I mean, when you think about processes, right, they're majority process and minority finish line or end result. If you spend most of your time during the process of something rather than the result, you better work out a way to benefit from it and enjoy it in the moment. So when focusing too much on the finish line, any journey can seem like a marathon. But if you forget about the finish line and focus on the task at hand, any marathon can be made to seem like a walk in the park.
1, 2, 3.
This episode's quote comes from Vincent van Gogh, who said, "Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together." I think of this from the angle of competency is largely a compendium of minor and diverse skill sets, as varied as they may be. So it's important that we pay close attention to each skill and to the details to be competent enough to do great things. This perspective also reminds us that even when progress feels small or slow, it's important to embrace the value of incremental progress, because sometimes great accomplishments are not purely the result of impulsive actions, but rather the culmination of numerous small steps or contributions. And that's all from me.